I'm gonna get you guys on the floor. We're gonna start with just a couple movements, kind of activate the hips. I'm gonna get into the back of the hip, the front of the hip. I'm gonna start in my 90-90 position. And so for the 90-90 position, I just want to get my knee in front of my hip, about 90 degrees in the knees, hip, and then the ankle. We just want a neutral angle, and I want to make sure my side knee is off the side of that hip. Okay, and then if I can't sit up, I'm going to use my hand just to keep my spine straight. And I want to try not to side bend. So John, for you, I'm not going to actually have you sit on something and lift your butt up. So if you have like a pillow or a yoga block or something to sit on, John, I'm going to have you do that. If not, I'm going to have you like sit in it like this. Try not to sit up so much. So if you don't have a block, you kind of bring your arm out and sit here. So keep that back flat and straight here. And then so chest is up. As I come down, I want to keep the chest high. I'm going to rotate the sit bones up towards the ceiling. Pushing both knees and ankles into the floor, coming back up. Try not to let that front knee come up as I get to the top. So I don't want to let the knee rise. I want to keep driving it into the floor. We're just going to do 10. Two more. 9, 10. All right, other side. How's that feeling for you today, John?
Yeah. So you want me leaning over a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not up so much like this, so that you're angled over a bit and kind of stay straight.
Yeah, that is definitely easier on my back.
Awesome. Let's keep that. All right. Other side. All right. Knee in front of the hip. Both knees off both sides of the hip. 90 degrees in the knees. Sit up tall through the chest. We're going to push those hips behind us, keeping the chest up, rotating the sit bone up toward the ceiling, and then pushing both knees and feet down into the floor to create tension through the hip. Go 3 more. All right. Next, I'm going to get you guys into a frogger position. So we're going to take knees as wide as we can go comfortably. I want the inside of my foot flat on the ground. So if my ankles, you guys can see, are in the air, I'm going to try to push those guys into the floor, make contact. I'm going to come down on my elbows. We're going to get our back nice and flat. And as we come into the frogger, as I bring my hips towards my heels, I'm going to lift my sit bones up towards the ceiling. You should feel an increase in the front of the hip. I'm going to push both knees and feet to the ground, coming up. So I'm emulating a squat. I'm trying to activate and slide and glide all the tissues in the front of the hip and the back of the hip. Three more. All right, next I'm going to have you guys stand up. We're going to get into waiter bow. So waiter bow, I want to sit up nice and tall through my chest. I'm going to have my hands in a handcuff position on the low back. And then so when we do this, we want to make sure the shoulders are down and back, right? So I'm not here with my shoulders down and back. I'm going to put the weight at my heels and I'm going to have my knees not locked, but I want them straight-ish, okay? I'm going to push my hips towards the back wall. Again, trying to rotate the sit bones up towards the ceiling. I'll feel a stretch in the hamstring. Pushing through, standing up. We'll go 10 here. Again, on each kind of consecutive pass, I want to try to get a little bit deeper. all the while being as controlled as possible. Oh, what's up, Brianna? All right. After you guys are done with 10, then we'll just do a quick shoulder car and we'll get started. So with the shoulder car, right, we're going to bring our shoulders through much range of motion as we can. So I'm going to bring my arm kind of out in front of me, up into flexion, up to the ear. It's going to start falling away, and I'm going to internally rotate. So I want my thumb, my elbow crease to disappear towards the body, and I want to wring my shoulder out like I'm trying to wring a towel. We'll come back, we'll open up the other way, keeping that shoulder blade down, and the shoulder away from the ear, so I'm not shrugging as I come through the top. We'll go one more, try to push a little bit more, get a little more range and control a little more internal rotation. Knuckles by the thigh here. We'll come back into extension, pulling the shoulder blade away from the ear, and then reversing, externally rotating. Shoulder joint kind of happens naturally there. All right, other side, we'll do 2. Bring the arm in front of the body, up into flexion, slightly outside, internally rotating, controlling, especially if those areas are hard to control, when they feel really hard to move through, try to be more controlled through those areas. One more here. Knuckles by the thigh, we'll come back. All right, guys. So, what we're going to do first, in sequence 1, all right, I've got a multi-directional lunge. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one. We're going to alternate. So we're basically going to be doing one side for a minute, and then we'll come back and do the other side. So the multi-directional lunge is I'm going to go through 3 planes of motion here. I want to take a step forward into my forward lunge. I'm going to drive through this front heel, loading the glute, come back. Same thing as I step out to the side laterally. I want to make sure I keep that heel on the ground. I'm loaded. I'm going to press back through, and then I'm going to reverse. And so anytime I'm coming into the load, I want to make sure the heel is the one loading. I'm not rolling into the ball of the foot. And we're going to be going for a minute on one side. We'll stop, and then we'll go to the other side. So it'll be a front, a lateral, and then a reverse lunge. And then we're going to do basically just a 3-count push-up. So I want you guys to really focus on your form. If the push-up is challenging you, and I'll do a regular push-up, you can go on your knee. But we're going to do a 3-count down. So I want to make sure my hands are slightly outside of my shoulders. I'm going to rotate the elbow creases towards the front of my fingers or my thumb. Okay? I'm going to get into my plank position, and I don't want my shoulder blades pulled back to where I'm sagging. So I've got a little bit to the floor to lock the shoulder girdle, and a slight tug at the tailbone. Now I'm going to pull myself down to the floor. 1, 2, 3, shoulders, hips, everything at one at a time, and push myself up. 1, 2, 3. And we'll be doing that for 45 seconds. After the 45 seconds, we're going to stay in that extended push-up position, and we're going to do an extended plank for 1 minute. Okay? So shoulders are going to really be shoulders and arms, really going to be stabilizing the body. And then we're going to go, so right from that push-up position, we'll get into the top. We'll just hold the plank for 1 minute. All right? If you start to feel your hips dip and going into your low back, I want you to call the plank, okay? Because we're going to be holding that position for a long time. I just want you to hold it until you get to failure, right? So maybe even a little before that, right? If you start to feel that area really working, you feel like you're about to lose your form, go ahead and cut it, okay? And then the last one of this sequence, roll up, roll down. So I've done these with you guys before. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to be on the back side of my sit bones, at the back angle. I'm going to get my knees at 90 degrees, and I want to try to reach my mid-arch to the floor. I'm really trying to glue that guy to the floor. I'm going to sit up tall, and I'm going to use my breath. My hands be out in front of me, chest is up, and I want to work from the lumbar spine. So I'm not grounding from the upper back. I'm controlling, basically doing a reverse crunch. So chest is up, I'm tucking my tailbone, controlling until I get to my end range. My end range is going to be where I either lose my ab control or my feet come off the ground. So I'm tucking the tailbone, I'm trying to lay one vertebrae of the lumbar spine on the ground, sacrum. I get to rest my end range today, and I'm going to roll back up. So I tuck the tailbone, drop down, try to lay one vertebrae on the ground at a time, and then I'm rolling back up into extension. So we've got the spine rolling in and out of flexion extension. We're going to do that for 1 minute. Okay, you should feel this right in the lower ab. Okay. And then we'll do 1 minute rest. We're going to do 2 sets of that. Okay. So let's start with a multi-directional lunge. And if your knee's really unstable, or you guys feel like your knee and foot's moving in, I want you to try to tighten your core as best you can. So every time you go into a step, reset your breath, really tight core, keep that guy tight. You'll notice that the knee and the hip will be a lot more stable that way, all right? We're able to translate more force. So 1 minute, one side, multi-directional lunge. So we'll go in 3, 2, 1, go forward, pulsing through, loading that heel. Making sure that core is nice and tight. Trying to be as stable and controlled as we can, especially in the bottom portion. If these guys get your heart rate up, really work on that breath, right? You can also slow your tempo down as well. Halfway there. John, how's this feel on your ankle? All right, cool. If it starts to bother you, let me know. 10 seconds left. 3, 2, 1, time. Other side, forward lunge, go. Step up to the side, load that heel. Make sure whatever leg is bearing the weight. That good connection to the heel. You feel your glute activate as you drive out. Oh, looking good, Tal. Look at you. It's going to be a new dance move. Halfway, a little more. "15 seconds left. Three, 2, 1, time. Now we'll go down into our plank position. We're going to go into our 3-count push-ups, either on your knees or on a regular push-up position. And we'll go in 3, 2, 1, low. Elbow creases are rotated towards the swing. Pull ourselves down, push away. Pull ourselves down, push away. So the back is doing a lot of work here as we pull down. We're not just allowing gravity to let the body fall to the floor. I'm actively using my muscles. Pull down, push away. "15 seconds left. And then we'll go right into our plank. 10. 3, 2, 1. Back into that plank. Just holding that position. Overhead slide, reach into the floor, tuck to that tailbone. As we tuck the tailbone, try to push the belly button into the ceiling. Feel the increase in core tension. Halfway there. Ten seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. How's that for everyone after the push-ups? Challenging? No worries. All right, last one here. 1 minute roll up, roll down. These are really done better slow in the eccentric, meaning when I'm coming down, I really want to go slow, control, kind of get to that last little bit and roll up. Okay? So roll up, roll down. 3, 2, 1. Go arches, reaching the foot. We'll tuck that tailbone, letting one vertebrae at a time behind us. Roll it right back up. Inhale, tuck. Play there. "15 seconds left. 5, 3, 2, 1. Done. Good job, guys. All right, we're gonna go 1 minute rest. I want you guys to focus on your breath. Nice deep inhales. Good exhales. Get all that air out. You wanna try to breathe normal in a nice and low and slow manner. You don't wanna hyperventilate.
Hey, Jeff.
What's up, John?
I'll talk to you about my ankle. You know, you asked me about it, and I wasn't thinking about it.
Now it hurts?
I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't push the ankle anymore on that.
Yeah, so for you, what I'm gonna have you do when we do the multi-directional lunge, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you do this right here. So you're gonna sit down. You don't have to sit on the floor. You can sit on something that's up. I'm just gonna have you have your leg in your hand, so same side arm is just gonna come underneath. Other hand's gonna come on top just to hold the arm. I'm gonna have you go through ankle circles. So it's like I got a pen between my toe, and I'm just gonna point the big toe, and I'm gonna go out. These dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, all of these just little movements. You're basically just trying to move that ankle. The slow and controlled is like with the shoulder car.
Okay.
Same exact thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Last set here. We'll start with the multi-directional lunge. 1 minute alternating. 3, 2, 1. Go forward lunge. Make sure you load that heel off to the lateral. Keep that chest up. Nice tall torso. Tight core. Woo! 45 seconds. John's doing his carbs. Let's go. "30 seconds. Good job, Brianna. Good job, Tao. Good job, John. 15. 3, 2, 1. Good job. Right into the other side. Straight in. Go. Forward lunge. Back out to our lateral. Let's go back to our reverse. Really making sure we're making good contact through the heel and feeling that tension and that contact in the glute. All right, so knowing that that point driving through the heel, you activate your glute. And constantly trying to bring that relationship in, right? And when we stand up to the top, I want you to try to feel the squeeze of the glute. Don't leave your hips behind you. All the girls leave the hips behind them when they're squatting. It's like, dude, the glutes do hip extension. You got to squeeze them. It's crazy. It's crazy. 10 seconds left. 3, 2, 1, time. Good job, guys. Right into that front position. We're going to hit the push-up. We're basically in a high plank position. We've got the shoulder blades slightly protracted to stabilize the shoulder girdle. Elbow creases rotated towards the fingers. Slide tuck the tailbone. And we're going to go 3 count down. 3, 2, 1. Well, we pull ourselves down. Push ourselves away. Pull ourselves down. Pull yourself down. It's almost like you're pushing yourself up towards the ceiling, but back as well. Like you can think about it as like a seed arc. It's not straight up and down. So I pull myself down. When I push myself away, it's slightly up and back. Okay. Ten seconds left. And we're going to stay in that position. Go right into our plank. I want everyone's arms extended. 3, 2, 1, go. Spine's nice and wide. Tuck in the tailbone. As we tuck the tailbone, we push that belly button into the ceiling. Really feeling the connection in the core when we do that. If you don't feel this in your core, try to tuck that tailbone more until you do. Twenty seconds. 10. 3, 2, 1, time. Good job, guys. All right. Get it up. We're going to go into that roll up, roll down. On the back side of the sit bones, 90 degrees in the knees. You got that mid arch trying to reach and smash the ground. This might get your plantar fascia to tighten a little bit. You might get a cramp in the foot. That's all right. I want you to focus on your breath and try to forget about it. Okay? It will go away over time if you breathe properly. Okay? Sit up. 1 minute. 3, 2, 1. Go. Tucking the tailbone. Let one vertebrae behind it at a time. Control. Rolling back up. Keeping the sternum nice and high. Want to focus on tucking the tailbone. Working from the lumbar slide. Back up. We always sit in a passive flexion. Right? We need to learn how to control into flexion and lumbar spine. This one, I really want you guys to try to push and find that end range. Always safe, right? Safest range you can go while still pushing ourselves muscularly. The form is there. 5, 3, 2, 1, time. Awesome, guys. We'll do a minute rest right now, maybe a little more. I'm going to be talking about the next sequence. So, next sequence, we're going to get into the posterior a little bit here. I'm going to have you guys do a Superman. We're going to do a 2 count hold at the top, right? No flailing into the Superman. Okay, I want you guys to be nice and controlled and contracted. I'll show you what the flaring looks like. And I don't want to try to jerk to get my legs and my hands in the air. I don't want to do that motion. I want to squeeze my glutes, start lifting my heels and my hands, feeling a good contraction all the way to the back. 1, 2, hold, control. Relax all, back up. 1, 2, hold. I don't care how many you do. I want good connection, good contraction, and a good squeeze at the top. Relaxing all at the bottom, and re-going, okay? We're gonna do this for 1 minute. After, side plank hold, 1 minute. So with the side plank, it's the same kind of plank. I'm trying to do a slight tuck of the tailbone to really engage the core. I'm going to do the same thing when I'm in the side. So if I'm on my side, I'm going to try to tuck into the ceiling and tuck the lower bottom to push up. So I'm going to have my hand out to the side. Now the foot position, right? I can have my feet together. You might not have that balance. So you can stagger your foot one behind one another. And my shoulder here, I'm not letting the ground jam my shoulder up into me. I'm reaching to the floor and stabilizing that shoulder. It's neutral, but I'm reaching down and putting a little bit of pressure on the ground. So my shoulder blades back and down and slightly reaching to the floor to solidify that. Here, and then I'm going to do that slight tuck into the ceiling. So I'm pushing this guy into the ceiling, and I'm feeling the contraction all on the lower side. So while I'm holding, I'm pulling that shoulder blade back and down, reaching to the floor. That's going to activate some lat, serratus, and I'm going to push and lift to the ceiling to start to feel those obliques. All right, we're going to hold this for 1 minute. We're going to try to be as straight as possible, so we're not rounded doing this, right? So we're nice and tall, nice and straight. Right? We're going to hold these for 1 minute on each side. This might be extremely challenging for you. So if you know, like 30 seconds or whatever, if it fails, don't worry about that. It's fine, okay? We'll do both sides for 1 minute. And then we're going to do a glute bridge with a 2-second hold. If you have weight or something like a paint can or a kid or a dog, like put them on your lap. If not, I want you to really squeeze as hard as you can at the top. So like I'll show you with the kettlebell. On my weight, I'm going to have my feet slightly outside of my hips with a little bit of external rotation, just so that the toes slightly are open. And then I'm going to get my ribs. My core is going to be tight. That's going to help lock the trunk down. And I'm going to scoot that tailbone and squeeze the glutes up into the ceiling. Chin's tucked, ribs are down. Come back down. Squeeze up. 1, 2. 1, 2. And if you don't have a weight, I want you to try to squeeze a penny between your butt cheeks as you come up. All right? Uncle Sam got a $100 bill on the floor. You're going to pick that up with your butt cheeks. All right? We'll see how that one works. I don't know. Bad cue, maybe. All right. Let's start. Let's start with the Superman. 2-second hold, 1 minute. Okay, so we'll be down to our prone position. All right, everyone, remember no jerking, nice and controlled contractions up. You're going to feel your low back on, you're going to feel your mid spine on, you feel your glutes. Okay? All of the back's going to be engaged, so all close to your chin. All right, 1 minute. We'll get up, arms extended, totally relaxed here, like you're melting into the floor. 3, 2, 1, go. Contracting from that dead stop. 1, 2, back down. Relaxing, melting. Deep breath. Lift up. 1, 2. Making sure we keep that chin tucked. We don't have a neck extended. The chin stays tucked. Long neck. Point those toes. Point those fingers. Halfway there. 10 seconds left. 3, 2, 1, time. All right. Let's go ahead. We're going to get into this side plank position. We'll take a time again to talk about the position. Okay, so I'm going to have my hands underneath my shoulder, maybe slightly out. All right, we'll put that hand down. I'm going to pull the shoulder blade back down. I'm going to reach to the force and solidify. I'm going to take one step out, other step. So that top leg, for me, if I'm staggered, I'm going to have it in front of me. Okay? Hips are in one line, chest is in one line. Chin is tucked, hands on the hip. I'm going to start pushing my hip into my hand. I'm trying to raise my hand to the ceiling with my hip. I'm tucking and squeezing here. Hold. Pull that shoulder blade back into the back pocket, slightly reaching to the floor. You should feel that serratus or tension increase underneath the shoulder blade. All the side body. And when you start lifting the hips into the ceiling as you tuck that side, you're going to feel right above that hip crease in the oblique. Oh, I didn't start the timer. Oh, it's all right. I'm a timer myself. Now, you guys can also have that arm like straight. This one, if you want, you can have the arm straight, whatever. I just like to do it so I can give myself something to push my hips on. So I'm constantly driving that hand to the ceiling. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead, switch to the other side. Again, I'll go ahead and get my hand out. Fingertips are going to face my shoulder. Elbow crease is going to be facing you guys or out in front. All right, staggered stance here. Straight, ribs together. We'll start pushing that hip into the ceiling, pushing the hand into the ceiling, chin's tucked. You should feel this whole side body engaging. Good. Make sure you guys are in one line. Tao, I want you to try to push more from the hip, less from the rib. So drop the rib a little bit and push from the hip. Yeah. You feel that? Yes. Good. Halfway there. "15 seconds left. 10. 3, 2, 1, time. How the side plank feeling? All right? All right, cool. All right, and the last one here is the glute bridge for 1 minute. Now again, if you have weight or something, you can put it on your lap. If not, we're really trying to squeeze the hips through. What I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to decrease this amount of hips. Like, here's my angle, I'm in hip flexion. Right, I have this angle here, right? So I know I'm not in hip extension. What I'm trying to do is decrease that angle. So you can have people push to the top and still stay in hip, in anterior pelvic tilt. I'm trying to boom, scoop and squeeze my glute up into the ceiling. Okay, so you think about this being flat as possible in the front. Okay. All right, 1 minute for these guys. If you got a weight, put it on your lap and hold that weight. You don't want it to roll back into your face. So you got it right now. All right, slightly wider than hips, externally rotated with the toes out. 3, 2, 1. Well, chin's tucked and scoop. Tail one up into the ceiling. Core is nice and tight. Ribs and hips are together. Try to squeeze as hard as you can into the ceiling. Halfway there. Ten seconds left. Baby, can you? 5, 3, 2, 1. Time. Awesome. Good job, guys. All right, we got 1 minute rest. Again, I want you guys to focus on your breath here. Trying to get your heart rate down if it's up. If not, we'll pick the tempo up for you a little bit throughout the exercise, okay? Meaning that if you feel like, okay, I'm at the end of the exercise, I'm not too tired, I want you to pick up the speed in which you're going through the exercise. But if it's getting sloppy, then cut it, okay? You still want to have good form. 30 seconds left. Ten seconds left. I'll go ahead and get you guys down in the prone position, Superman position. All right, we're going to completely melt into the floor. We'll lift from a dead stop. 3, 2, 1. Go 1 minute, 2 second hold at the top. 1, 2. Control back down. Relax. Inhale, lift. Another trick here is if you can have air and fill your abdomen, you can push that belly button into the floor, and it's going to give you a much more stable kind of ball to lift your hips and your low back up on. "15 seconds left. And time. Good job, guys. All right. Going into our side plank position. We'll go ahead and get the fingers facing the shoulders, elbow crease facing the thumb. Staggered stance. Hips in one line, nice and tight. I'm going to start pushing my hips into the ceiling, pulling that shoulder blade into my back pocket, slides it into the floor. You should feel all the way from the shoulder blade into the hip crease. Halfway there. Keep imagining that hip pushing into the ceiling. "15 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. We'll go ahead and go to the other side. Slide outside the shoulder. Fingers facing the shoulder, elbows facing the knee, staggered stance, hips in one line. Core is tight, start pushing into the ceiling. Shoulder blade back and down. Lifting into the ceiling so you feel all the tissue underneath. Tracking. Good job, guys. Looking good. Halfway there. Really focus on having that core tight. Being able to replenish the breath, but having that core tight, full with air. 3, 2, 1. Time. Awesome. All right. Into the glute bridge here. We'll go ahead and bend our backs. Slightly outside of the hips. Slightly externally rotated. Have my core nice and tight. 2-second hold at the top. 3, 2, 1. Whoa. Have the chin tucked, looking down the body. Trying to squeeze as much as you can to the ceiling. You want to feel those glutes contract. If you can't feel them, try to drive through your heels more. Try to squeeze more. Try to control it down more. Start to make that area up or just become more aware of it. Fifteen seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. Oh. All right. So that's it for the exercise. All right. How's everyone feel with that? Those guys. Full light, full body circuit there. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Next we're getting into some stretches. Some stretches. All right. So we're all watching TV and on the computer a lot, on the phone. No, I am. So I want to open up the shoulders. What we're going to do, so I'm trying to get you guys to feel this stretch all the way front and down in the forearm here, traveling all the way up into the bicep, into the front arm, maybe a little bit into the chest, okay, in the top. And so this position is really going to dictate how far you can walk out and then keep this proper posture. So what's going to happen? You're going to get into the position, and when you get into the position, physiologically, your body's going to want to go here. It's just what's going to happen, all right? And then when we get into the stretch, you're going to pull the shoulder blades back and stretch like this. So I'm going to have you guys get into this position, and we're going to have to find a sweet spot for you. So I'm going to kind of set my arms. Boom, so you can kind of see I rounded forward there. I'm going to have to fix that. But then I want to make sure I walk out enough. So you're going to find a delicate balance of, okay, I walked out enough. But when you fix your stretch, if you walk out too much, you're going to have a very intense stretch. So I want you to kind of test the waters before you go out. Okay, how much tension is there? Okay, I walk up a little bit more. Just up. Like here, what I'm doing is I got the tops of my palms on the floor. I'm going to rotate the elbow crease away from my body. So the elbow crease, when I'm stretching, think about the elbow crease is rotating outside my body, pulling the shoulder blade back and down and lifting the sternum. Right? You should feel this all the way through the forearm, from the front of the arm. And the more that you go back and you get into the stretch, the more you're going to be able to stretch that side. Okay, I'm going to have us do both sides at the same time, but you can easily do this one at a time to really focus on one side. Okay? But from this angle, so we get in, top goes around on the floor, we're going to walk out, boom, chest is up, and now pulling the shoulder blades back and down, lifting my chest, trying to pull myself forward actively, and rotating the elbow creases away from the body. Breathing deep. Now holding the breath, breathing in all the way out. On the exhale, we try to go a little bit deeper into those stretches. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go slowly one side, one around, other arm. How's that for everybody in the shoulders? Tight? Cool. So you guys can obviously play with like one arm, like really get out there and get one side and then switch up. And you play with one, which better for you. That one's a really good one for being here. So doing the opposite, opening up. Okay. Here, we got the chest. And so with the chest, there's a little bit of, we really got to work the area. So I'm going to be up on my tall knee. This is for pec minor. The pec kind of goes at a vertical angle here, attaches to the collarbone. It pulls it forward and down. So anteverts, leans forward, the scapula, right? Boom. If this guy's tight, I'm going to be here. We want to release this guy so the shoulder blade can drop back down. The subscap can do its job. Okay, so I'm up tall. I'm in one line here. Tailbones tucked, chin's tucked. Both hands are going to go out to the side, and I'm going to pull my shoulder blades back and down. I'm going to externally rotate both arms. I'm reaching them away from the body, so you can see I'm reaching them down. I want to keep that tension reaching through the floor. Now, we're going to pick one side, whatever side. That arm's going to move back 2 inches, so I'm doing this side. So I pull my shoulder blade and arm back 2 inches. I'm going to tuck my chin, pull my shoulder blade back and down. Now, externally rotating my hand as much as I can, trying to get the elbow crease to the side of my body. Reaching down, I'm tucking my chin and I'm side bending away. You should feel a stretch coming through the top of the pec here and even in the side of the cervical spine there. And we're just breathing, trying to reach this hand down more, shoulder blade back and down more as we rotate. So like I told you guys, pec minor does this. I'm trying to open up the other way and then reach. And I'm side bending the head away from the side we're stretching. 3, 2, 1. Does everyone feel a stretch in this area right here? Right? If not, really try to activate. We got to pull that shoulder blade back and externally rotate that guy. So I'm coming here and I'm really rotating. I'm thinking about the elbow crease trying to get out. Once I lock that, shoulder blade back and down and then the side bend. Okay, hey, Jeff, you might feel it in the... Say again?
Is it common to have tingling in your arms when you do that?
Absolutely, 1000%. That means you're compressed in those areas. So now that when we're stretching the fascia, a little more compression, right? Especially on this one, I had numbness for maybe like 6 months, and I know that every person that we put through this, when you're doing it properly and you're compressed in those areas, you're going to start to feel a numbness and then a very powerful blood flow after. Right, so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to stimulate the blood flow to these compressed areas through the fascial tension.
Okay.
Right. Exactly. Though. You want to feel that.
Okay.
Yeah. And the cervical neck innervates those areas as well. So we're dealing with a lot of nerves in that area in the cervical spine. Okay. Other side. Same setup. I'm going to be in my double knee position, tailbone tucked, chin's tucked up nice and tall. We'll get both sides, shoulder blades back and down. We're going to externally rotate both arms with equal tension and reach them to the floor. Now, the opposite arm that we did, opposite arm now, we're going to go back just 2 inches. Externally rotating, pulling that shoulder blade back and down and trying to reach away more. So we're focusing on that side we're stretching. This side just stays in that regular tension. And the stretching side, now we really try to crank, pull that shoulder blade back and down. We're going to tuck the chin, side bend away, away. We're trying to feel a stretch up into the pec minor, all the way up into the collarbone there. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax. Awesome. So that's one you guys can easily remember. Like I do this shit when I'm like sitting on the couch sometimes. I'm just like, you know, just constantly stretching the fibers and doing that. Right? It's going to change the tissue quality. That's the whole reason why we have pain is because we're sedentary. We don't move. Those tissues change. They become fibrotic, and then we get compression on a nerve area. So literally all I'm trying to do with any of my clients is change the tissue quality in the areas where they have pain. Usually the pain goes away. Right? Not all the time, but the majority of the time, that's the issue. Right? So just being able to do this constantly in these tight areas where you feel tight, that's the whole goal. So any stretch you're ever like, ah, man, it's really tight, that's the one you need to be doing constantly, daily. Okay? And then over time, it's going to become very easy for you. Your body's going to cast in a different way, right? My body's now going to be open to these movements that I'm consistently doing instead of like when I get into them, they're like restricting me and they don't want me to move and it just doesn't feel right. All right, so any of these stretches that you really feel discomfort or really tightness, try to pick these up and do them over time, okay? Last one here. Psoas, hip flexor, right? So in this position, a lot of setup. So I'm gonna bring my foot out. Thigh is gonna be 45 degrees off the pelvis. All right, so if I'm looking at my belt buckle, a little protractor there, I got 45 degrees. And then my knee's greater than 90. So I got my back knee underneath my hip, directly underneath my hip. It's not at an angle yet, right? So I'm in that setup, my knee is directly underneath the hip, straight down. I'm gonna tuck the tailbone, bring the ribs and hips together. I'm gonna feel an initial tension in the top of my hip and my hip flexor. That's what I want. So it's a tuck of the tailbone, just like the plank. A little tuck of that tailbone, right? Now, feeling that initial tension, I'm going to let the pelvis shift away from this down knee. Right, my knee's going to come over to 90 degrees now. So now this leg is at an angle, back and out. I have an increase in tension more now. I'm going to bring my torso down to my knee, so the torso is forward. And I'm going to continually scoop the tailbone more. This is where I'm going to get max tuck tension. So I'm tucking, pushing that belly button into the ceiling. You should feel a huge increase here. Now we're going to use the arm to increase tension through the fascia. So externally rotating, reaching away, same side arm. And continually tucking. Chin's tucked, pushing the front of the head to that ceiling. Breathing in and out through the diaphragm. Okay, very important. We're belly breathing. We're pushing that diaphragm out. Psoas and the diaphragm have a direct relationship. If you start breathing through the diaphragm, you'll feel the psoas up high start stretching. That's what we want to stretch. 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax. Everyone knows about the hip flexor down here. It says where we feel it. But the guy actually attaches from my spinal column and comes down to the hip. You know, boom, and it comes down. Right, so when it's coming from the spine, it pulls those discs out. If it pulls the disc out and touches a nerve, you have a lot of pain. So breathe deep in. When we get to that last part, we start tucking. I want you to start pushing that diaphragm out, like someone's got their finger right underneath your ribcage, and you're going to start pushing this finger. Sometimes that's what I do. I'll have my thumb here for a little bit as I'm reaching, and I'll start pushing into my thumb to really make sure that I'm activating that diaphragm, okay? Because usually if you have dysfunction in one, the other one's going to travel over, okay? So back in line, other side, 45 degrees in that thigh, 90 degrees in the knee, or greater than 90 degrees in that front knee. Other knees directly underneath the hip. And my ankle slightly outside of that knee, so I got a little bit of internal rotation on the down hip. All right? Hips are in one line. We're going to tuck the tailbone, bring the ribs and hips together. Initial tension. I'm going to push that pelvis away from the down knee. Knee's going to start coming over. I'm separating both knees with good tension. Boom. Tucking the tailbone, pushing the belly button into the ceiling. Chin's tucked, neck's long. Breathing here now deep into the diaphragm. Same side arm reaches, externally rotated, chin's tucked, and we're breathing. Continue to try to tuck as much as you can, push that belly button to the ceiling. Push that diaphragm out. Three, 2, 1, slowly relax. All right. How did everyone feel on that hip flexor? Good. All right. I'm going to take you guys to the wall now. We're going to hit L5S1. All right. It does L5S1, but it treats the whole spine, and it deals with the pelvis, which sitting everything, it can't talk. It creates a real mess when we consistently sit, and we're basically taking the bridge off of its tension structure. It's like if you laid the Golden Gate Bridge on a bunch of rocks. What's going to happen? It's not going to lay straight. It's going to be all up and jagged and stuff. That's what's going on in the pelvis. All right. Especially if we have like a wallet, dude. If you sit on a wallet or keys in your back pocket, oh my Lord. All right, hips, shoulders up against the wall. I'm gonna slightly fall back. I wanna get both of my sits bones up against the wall. And I wanna make sure that my torso is nice and straight. I'm not side bent, spine is completely flat. My low back is completely flat. Both sides of the SI joint. All of that low back is pushing into the floor, and I'm trying to push the middle of my sacrum into the ground. So it's like I'm flattening the back and reaching it towards the wall. So all this tissue is going down to the floor, sliding towards the wall, right? Sit bones towards the wall. Now I'm going to internally rotate the legs at the hips. The knees go internal. I'm going to point the toes to the opposite shoulder. You should feel the contraction in the side of the shin. That lets you know that we're stimulating that fascia. Ribs are down, so the mid-spine is completely flat on the floor. Triple chin position as I try to reach C7 or my cervical spine to the floor to flatten. All right, heels are reaching away, sit bones to the wall, low back's flat, triple chin position. Breathing through that diaphragm, we're going to start pushing the crown of the head away. Eyes are open, looking down the body. And now we're going to go over our chest, one arm at a time, externally rotating. Other arm externally rotating, slight reach into the ceiling. Keeping that reach as we go overhead. And now we're going to try to grow. Pushing the low back into the floor, sits bones into the wall, toes to the opposite shoulder, heels up the wall, hands away from the heels. Sits bones away from the crown of the head's away from the tailbone. Using the breath to grow, front and back of the rib cage is elevating. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll slowly relax the legs. Bring the arms back into the chest. Slightly bend your knees a little more. And what I want you guys to do is I want you guys just to stay on the wall. So you're going to keep that low back on the floor, sit bones on the wall, but we've taken tension off the system by bending the knees. And I want you just to keep the back flat, look between the legs, and I want you just to sit here for about 5 or 10 minutes. Breathing, okay? All right, this is really gonna help normalize that area, especially if you've been sitting on an uneven surface or something, just pelvis is off. This is gonna help rewire that area, okay? So you breathe, you kind of let that system relax into the ground, and it'll really help straighten out any inconsistencies, any rotations that we have. All right, tomorrow we got Darren. She's gonna do a circuit and then yoga. So you guys will have a nice exercise, and then you'll have a very nice relaxing yoga session, about half and half, I think. And yeah, I want you guys to have a great weekend. Thank you guys for coming out and signing on to the class. I really appreciate it. And we appreciate it. We can't wait to see you guys, hopefully sometime soon. Oh, hopefully we vote different this year, but we won't talk about that. I love you guys. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.